Digress.
No. I'm not having it.
I mean, is it food we're talking about?
Definitely.
It's very juicy.
Come on.
But I'm just stating facts.
What were we talking about?
What's up, guys? Salut. My name is Alex, and I make food videos on YouTube.
Hello, guys. My name's Josh, and I edit Alex's food videos on YouTube.
Hello, Josh. How are you, man? Happy New Year to you and to all people who are currently listening to this podcast.
Oh, Happy New Year to you. Bon année? Is that how you would say it?
Bonne année. What a nice one. You've been practicing your French, man, over the break.
Just those two words. So
exactly. So New Year means new resolutions, new actions to be performed. Basically, here, at least in my kitchen, I've been starting to renovate things.
Okay.
I'm a believer in the start afresh situation, start afresh movement, basically.
Was this something that was on your mind towards the end of last year, and you were thinking when 2021 rolls around, I'm going to tackle that?
Yes, part of it just because I wasn't able to walk freely in my studio no more, just because of the amount of crap that was just lying on the floor everywhere. So I decided to first clean it, which I did, then change a few things, and you know how it works. It's a snowball effect. I started fixing things, and then I tried to improve things. I've got a few things that I've been working on in the studio, especially in the kitchen area, things which I feel we can discuss about.
Now, just to clarify, when you say especially things in the kitchen area, you mean as opposed to the rest of the system in there is good? Because you've also got why don't you tell me what areas of the studio there are, first of all?
Yeah, so there are two main areas in this studio. There is the maker space, and there is the cook space, the home cook space. Basically, the making area, I changed many things, but I mainly added a new station for sewing and electronics. But the kitchen area, well, oddly, or maybe not that oddly, but I've been leaving that on the side for a while. Like, for example, I had two big kitchen islands.
The chipboard ones.
Exactly, the chipboard one, exactly. And I really stick to these. I love these. That's probably part of the problem as well. It really cost me some time to build these. And so I hang on to them very badly, very dearly. Even though one of them was clearly unnecessary. And so
why was it unnecessary? Let me just ask, what was the...
Because there's only so much space in the studio, and these kitchen islands are like, I don't know, they're enormous, and they take so much real estate in the studio. So I knew for a while that one of them had to go, but I was trying to convince myself that I needed two kitchen islands in such a tiny space. Well, at some point I accepted reality, and I just smashed one. I took it to pieces, and now I only have one big kitchen island, which is just perfect. I kept the one with the stainless steel top, which is my favorite, the one I use all the time, and the one with tiles on top is just gone now, and it has been replaced by 3 little modular kitchen islands,
which we've already seen on the channel. Those 3 modular kitchen islands. There was a build for making those. Exactly,
and they have a magnetic attachment to them so that they can snap with one another, and they can arrange in different shapes. I've been working on these as well. Anyway, I've been working on the workbench situation in my kitchen, but also I've been trying to find a way to improve storage and the pantry, which I'm not there yet.
Let me ask you this, because I saw some little bits of over-the-shoulder footage from the end of last year, whilst we were sort of mid-source series, and the things you were trying to hide from the camera, the building chaos in the corners of bits of plywood and God knows what else that was in there. I'm assuming that your main battle with that space is the size of it. Is trying to fit all the things that you have into a small space.
It's a psychological problem initially.
Yes. Go ahead.
I'm trying to fit everything in something that is just finite. I'm trying to place something infinite into something finite.
You're imagining that you've got the kitchen space of the modernist cuisine place, right?
Well, that's not the problem, because if I had their space, it would still be too small, I think.
Hey, well, this sounds like this is a human problem, isn't it? You know, you move into a new house that's bigger, you fill the house with more crap. Your old house was too small for all the crap that you've got. You go to a new place, you get more crap.
That's me.
There's something about expanding to the space that you're in, isn't there? I don't know why. I feel like everybody does that to some extent.
Yeah. Okay. So that's definitely me. I do gather things and pile up new gears and gadgets and whatnot. But also, like, over the break, I did discard and sold and gave quite a few things. I did let go, not everything, but I would say a quarter of the things that I own in my kitchen.
Let me ask you a question. Would you consider yourself getting... I don't think you are, but would you consider yourself getting anywhere towards being a hoarder? Do you know what a hoarder is, first of all?
I don't know.
It's somebody basically who has trouble letting go of material possessions, and they collect. They have lots of things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I don't think I got plenty flaws, but I don't think this is one of mine. So I do like to buy new gadgets or to buy new tools, but usually I'm more like I'm really trying to get the right one.
So when you were getting rid of stuff to kind of clear space for the new setup, were there particular things that you were like, okay, this has got to go because I've never used that, or was it just? Well, tell me what sort of thing they were.
Well, I just did the Marie Kondo, movement, or the Marie Kondo move. It's just like you take something in your hand, like for example this spatula, this not broken, but just old spatula. You hold it dearly, and you just like, is this bringing me joy? and I mean, it's a bit funny, but it does work very well.
Yeah.
And then if you're clear, if you're calm, if you're just present, immediately I don't use this. I don't like this. And then you just place it on the right or on the left, whatever. And then you do it again and again and again with plates and glasses and tools and utensils. And sometimes I would take something and I would just like, I know I don't use it, but I can't just let this one go.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's too many memories with this one. It's like studio memorabilia. So then I would keep it. But this works quite nicely. I've been doing this at home, and so I've been doing this at work as well. And I feel like that's something very, very, very... That's something I discovered about myself. When I built this kitchen/studio initially, one of the models that I had was Casey Neistat and Tom Zach's studios in the US, and also Adam Savage. So if you're not familiar with these guys, they are filmmakers and makers from the US, and they have very interesting spaces. But these three guys have exactly the same approach to things: chaos, like or managed chaos, or just like barely tamed chaos. You've got labels everywhere, but it always feels like the space is about to explode. And they are labeling things and adding more and more and more and more drawers everywhere, because they feel like they feel the urgency of the situation as well. They were my model somehow, but then I started questioning this, and I don't like working in these conditions. I like working when there is nothing. That's my best way of working, is that when I've got no visual clutter in front of me, that's when I work best. And so in this space, at the moment, I'm not standing in the studio, I'm in the office, which is just next door to the studio, and I've got nothing. Alex nothing, which means that a few things, but as little as possible. And this is just giving me so much more space to concentrate. In the kitchen, I like when it's the same. I like a blank, clean workbench with nothing on it.
Now, whilst I kind of agree with you, I feel like there's a balancing act to be had here. I wouldn't want the clutter that you're talking about, with things hanging off of the ceiling, labels on literally everything, and everything that I own out and visible. Now, I agree. The clutter, the actual physical clutter in the room can then translate to mental clutter and give you brain fog and the inability to concentrate on what you're doing. But I think if you go too far the other way, like I don't know, I've some friends that I know that are, they're maybe into like sort of this minimalist approach to everything. Sometimes when you go into a space like that, I feel like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be in here because I'm cluttering up this space. Like, it's so minimal that I'm like, oh, this is not a space for humans to do things in. This is a space to be looked at in a magazine or something.
Yeah,
I know you're not going that far with that thing, but there are times when I have been in someone else's kitchen and I just can't find the things that I need, and that is as frustrating as there being too many things. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
You go in a kitchen and sometimes, like, I said to someone, do you have a whisk? And they're like, no. And I'm like, how do you live without that particular thing?
Well,
they say, well, just use a fork. I'm like, okay, all right, fair enough. There's certain things I think that you need, and then some other things that you convince yourself that you need that you probably don't. And that's when the thing comes in that you said about the Marie Kondo thing of going,
exactly.
I need to be honest with myself. Do I need these things?
Now, do I like it? Do I like it? Even more, even deeper than this. Like. I mean, that's exactly what she says. She says, does this item brings me joy?
Yeah,
so joy is probably a bit of a stretch. But still, to some extent, does this item, this utensil in my kitchen, brings me even just a slight amount of joy? And I can tell you right off the bat, if I hold, like, for example, my French chef knife, the one with a wooden handle, immediately I know, yes, I'm definitely not going to discard that item. I use it all the time. It brings me joy. I've been sharpening it. I know how it works. It has a specific balance to it, which I enjoy. Not saying it's my favorite, but it does bring me joy. So I'm not going to discard this one. The other way around, I had a very long pair of chopsticks because I saw a Chinese chef working with this. And I thought, wow, that would be amazing to work with this. But I never, ever used them. So I held them close to my heart and I told myself, do I like this item? Well, I wish I liked this item. So that's not enough. So just on the side.
You had to get rid of them. Now, I think, to me, it sounds like, and I would definitely agree, this is how I feel about this anyway, that there's a competition for your attention. And one element is beauty and the other is utility. So some things might be ugly, but they're super useful. And some things might be beautiful, but they're not very useful. The best things normally are both, but that's kind of rare. I suppose that you've got to... maybe there's something within a kitchen. Because if you... All right, let's put it this way. If you just was like, right, all the walls are white, there's just white walls, stainless steel tops, that's it. Everything is super efficient. I think actually, after a bit, you might be like, I'm feeling uninspired in this space because everything is so clinical.
Yes, possibly.
Do you know what I mean? So maybe you need a little bit of both. A space that you work in
knowing
has to
you
have utility and beauty, I think, maybe.
Yeah, and also it's lacking a bit of germs, a bit of life everywhere, knowing you. No, you need a little fermentating bacteria somewhere on the counter. Otherwise, I would see you, Josh, as very sad or not complete, not fulfilled in life.
Absolutely, Alex. I need to be joined by my microbial friends to feel
that's what
like
I thought.
I'm at home in the space. I don't want to extinguish them from coexisting with me in my space.
Yeah, I like this approach. But I think joking aside, I feel like it would be lifeless. And I need a little life, a few things which belong on the counter, even though I do cherish the idea of a stainless steel top with just chopping board and one knife and one tomato. Now, and that's your job.
Listen, Alex,
that would be nice.
It would be remiss of me not to bring this up. Now, I know you sat here going,
is the trap coming up?
There's no trap. Just listen. It's just truth. There's no trap. It's just truth.
Even worse.
So you sat here going, oh, my ideal thing would be a single tomato and one Chinese chef's knife, that was sharpened to perfection, clean surfaces, simplicity. No,
yeah.
none of this. You're saying that this is your ideal dream, and yet the reality is, you're quite a big fan of the technology in the kitchen.
Yes.
If someone says to me, think of somebody who has lots of, different bits of equipment for the kitchen, you're the first person I would think.
Am I?
Yeah, you've got a ramen machine, the dough sheeter, you've got the sous vide machine, the dry aged beef machine. The amount of you have more things in your kitchen that end with the word machine than a factory. Like that's
a good one.
There's a lot of things that end with the word machine. Now, what I'm saying is, there's a conflict there, clearly, because if you're saying your ideal is this simplistic vision of things, the difference between the ideal and the reality, well, there's a gulf there at the minute.
There's a gulf, yes. But at the same time, I'm talking mainly about the space where I work. Having a ramen machine in a cabinet, stored, ready for action somewhere, doesn't bother me. I just don't want it to have it in my visual sight.
Yes. Okay.
That's my problem is more about vision. I'm easily disturbed by things within my vision. So if everything's stored behind doors, that's what you mentioned earlier on. You said...
Hang on a second.
Yeah.
This is making me think something here. Now, a phrase that we use a lot when we're talking about food or talking about doing an edit, basically part of our ethos, I think, on the channel, is the phrase apparently simple. Something appears to be simple, but there's a lot of complexity underneath the hood. So what you're saying is you want the kitchen to reflect that, in that there is the complexity, there is the clutter, but visually it's presented in a simple way.
That is exactly that.
Okay.
Precisely that. Thank you so much for putting words on this.
You're
welcome. I want
welcome.
my kitchen to be apparently simple. I want it to be pure white, not pure white, but very clean. And then on the press of a button, 2 cabinets opens on the side, and I've got 3 different ramen machines, depending if I'm working with rye noodles or wheat noodles or this specific type. But I'm not super aware of it. I like sharpness and technology, but it needs to be covered with so clearly you don't share the same approach with things.
Well,
or do you?
I don't know. See, I've always thought that you're the sort of person that is seduced by the technology, the sort of... For example, if I wanted to annoy you, I would refer to the things in your kitchen as gadgets.
Yes, very annoying. It's always annoying. And you did that at the beginning of this episode, and I was refraining myself from saying anything. Yeah, I call them tools.
Exactly.
These are tools.
So there's something a bit derogatory in the term gadget, because essentially what is implicit in the word is me saying they look nice and they're all flashing lights and fancy, but really they're of no use.
Useless, exactly.
That's what the word gadget means most of the time.
Yeah. Thank you. That's what I feel every time you're saying this. I hear your freaking useless crap.
So let me give you an example then, because I know you're saying that you like simplicity. I know that you have got a problem that you're trying to solve, right? And it comes in the form of the sharpest tools in the kitchen, the sharpest knife in the drawer. How many knives do you own? Not even do you own, but how many knives do you have in the studio?
Say 40 maybe?
Okay.
40, 50?
Now, would you agree that when we're talking about these things, that often the most elegant solution is the most simple one? Is it a problem having 40 knives, first of all?
Yes.
Why?
It's too much. It's too many. But I think it's related to my job in this situation. For example, I don't own 50 pairs of shoes. I have 2. Because I don't want to ask myself in the morning which pair should I put on. I don't have 2. I have 3 or 4 maybe. But it's just like with this type of work, I've been chatting with so many different knife makers, and every time we have a chat, they have an amazing vision, they do amazing work, and I just want to be part of it. So
yeah, but look, I
get trapped in this.
If you did a YouTube channel about trainers, maybe you would have 50 pairs of shoes.
I think so.
So what I'm saying is, I guess I don't have a YouTube channel, so my approach to knives is I just have I've got how many?
Yeah, how many knives do you've got exactly? Let's put you on the guillotine now.
I recently, only last week, did the same.
Too
thing
late. Too late for apologies or for excuses.
We went through
numbers.
Mate, went through how many knives? I have 3. I have a chef's knife.
That's not true.
It is.
I do not believe you. Are you counting also the office knife?
The office knife.
Yeah.
Oh, the pen knife.
The paring knife. Paring knives.
Paring knife.
Yeah, you've got small knives and big knives. Are you counting only the big ones or also the small ones?
I don't have a paring knife.
Like a small knife? No?
I've got
a chef knife?
I have a chef's knife.
Yeah.
A bread knife.
Okay. And?
A pen knife.
What's a pen knife?
A pen knife is what, like, you'd have when you're out in the woods. It folds away into a little thing and you get it out.
The Opinel one that I see often when you edit videos.
Yeah. I use the Opinel one for when I'm foraging for mushrooms. I found some great oysters recently. I'll show you them at some point.
Okay.
The chef's knife I use for almost everything in the kitchen, and the bread knife I use for cutting bread.
Hold on a second. Don't you have a Japanese knife as well? Because you mentioned a Japanese knife that someone gave to you.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's
there
the
you
chef
go.
Knife. That is the chef's knife.
No.
Yeah, it is. That's the chef knife. That's the one I'm talking about.
So you imply that before your friend gave you anything, you didn't have any chef knife?
I had one. It was a Chinese chef's knife.
Where is it?
I've got rid of it because it's got a kink in it in the middle. It's bent.
Okay,
so
fair
I've got
enough.
rid of it.
Fair enough. So that's
you think this is what I'm saying? You think I'm lying?
No, I don't think you're lying.
So magical to you that I would not.
Yeah, this is just. I don't think you're lying because I know you. I know your simple approach to things. But I'm just like.
I know you. You're a simpleton.
No. You've got in a very positive way, a very simple approach to things, and I like it. It's just like such a stranger thing for me. Mm-hmm. Such something outside of the way I think. Mm-hmm. 3 knives. To be honest, at home, I use 1, 2, maybe 2, 3 knives as well. I've got.
There we go. That's different though, isn't it?
A small knife, a big knife, and a bread knife. The bread knife, I never use it. So maybe 2 knives. Because I feel like bread knives are useless somehow. If you've got a sharp knife, you don't need a bread knife.
Very true. I could cut my collection of knives down to simply a chef's knife.
Gosh, I made it worse.
In fact, I'm going to change that because then that would mean I would have 2 knives in my collection. One is an indoor knife and one is an outdoor knife.
Why do you need an outdoor knife? You could use the indoor knife for outdoors. Can you?
Alex, I'm going to take a 10-inch long Japanese chef's knife out into the woods with me. Morning, just walking your dog. I'm taking my knife for a walk. Oh, look, a mushroom. I'm going to get arrested.
Yeah,
anyway.
This is. Look, I think it's related to work. It's related to the fact that I love craftsmanship as well, I think. And I see plenty of these knives as not art pieces, but craftsman pieces. And
well, let's try and bring this into an area then where we're similar, because I agree with you. When you're saying about them being art pieces and craft pieces, I can see that with your knives in the, like what I was saying, some things have to be utility, other things can be beauty. Sometimes those two things overlap, but they don't have to overlap. Sometimes you can just own a nice knife because it's a nice knife and enjoy using it occasionally. And I understand that. I've got other things that are like that. Knives just happen to be something that I'm minimal about. Mm-hmm. I guess what we're really talking about here is trying to conquer chaos in a way that means that you can concentrate on what you're trying to do. Mm-hmm. And if that means that the chaos has to go behind closed doors, so you've got some simplicity to work within, then so be it. Because that's one solution. The other solution is get rid of all the other stuff. But if you do that, you might need something. So, for example, let's try and bring this onto an example of something that might be more easily understandable. Spices. My spice situation is not organised whatsoever. I've got hundreds of them, and I never know how to organise them properly,
that's interesting.
where to put them, where the system goes of what there is, what part of the kitchen to put them in so that I'm easily accessible. They're out of control. So I'm not. My thing of saying just be minimalist, just have 2 knives.
I like it very much. I like where this is going. I like where this is going because you had the cap of the minimalist guy, the guy with like philosophy on life. And now we're getting just slightly deeper into this episode.
We're getting to the real human
well,
here.
Josh's personality is just a tad more troubled than we thought he was.
Oh, I could tell
He's
you that
got
for sure.
hundreds of spices, kilos and kilos of ras el hanout and garam masala, different vibes. But where are they? Organized, not organized, used, not used?
You would, honestly, I think you would, you might vomit if you saw the shelf that they're on at the minute.
I don't
It's
think
just it's just a mess of no organisation, no labels. It's just all, they're not even like stood up, most of them in the jars. It's just like they've been thrown into this cupboard.
No.
There are a few that I use regularly that are out on the side, but the rest, if somebody else were to come into that space and go, do you have any fenugreek seeds? And I said, yeah, they're in there. They would take one jar of spices out, and I'd turn around and they'd be buried under a mountain of spice jars because they'd just fall out of the cupboard onto them.
Well, yeah. So why do you have so many spices then?
Because I go through, as a food nerd, I go through periods of being interested in different things. So like, I had a phase where I was cooking lots of Indian food, so I've accumulated a lot of spices for that. I've had a Mexican food phase, so lots of different types of dried chilies and spices to do with that.
Do you got some poblanos in there? Yes, I'm sure.
Yeah. So I've got, what have I got?
I knew you. Yeah, go on.
I've got anchos, which is a dried poblano.
Nice.
Mulattos, which is a matured dried poblano.
Oh, nice.
Chipotles, which is smoked jalapeno pepper and dried. I've got pasilla, which I don't know what the original chili of that is, but again, it's
what is
pasilla?
Okay, never heard of this one.
Long, thin, kind of raisiny flavour, not that spicy on the heat scale.
Okay.
I've got those. I've got something called guajillos, which are a little bit spicier, not as fruity as the others, a bit more picante, smaller.
Okay.
Anyway, when do I use them? Barely ever. Unless I'm in a phase of going, I'm going to make lots of Mexican food this week or whatever.
Do they hurt? Not hurt from the heat perspective, but does it hurt to have these stored in a cupboard somewhere, in a cabinet somewhere?
No, but I'm just saying it's that thing of if someone else were to step into that chaos, they would not be able to fathom it. I can just about find my way around it, but I don't like going in this spice thing because it brings the chaos into my life, I suppose.
Yeah, but do you really not? Do you really have like, not anxiety because it would be too much, but does it really annoy you to open that drawer, open that cabinet and look for something and just be overwhelmed by all these? What's your storage system? Do you have jars, plastic boxes? Do you've got labels on things, or is it just like
all three
bags, packages?
All three in no particular order. In this package, that blah blah blah, whatever. And here's the stupid thing. Next to that is a cupboard that is full of empty jars. So I could organise them.
So that's another problem then.
Yeah, but maybe those two things could come together. Possibly. Anyway, what I'm saying is, in contrast, I've seen your spice system. It seems very organised.
Extremely organised and completely useless to this day.
Oh.
Not completely useless, but so my spice organization system right from the naming itself, you understand that I went just overboard on this.
Go ahead.
I've got 48 little drawers made out of cedar
very
wood.
Nice, very nice.
Yeah, because there's a reason behind it. It just repels bugs.
Yeah, it's antibacterial.
So it's pretty cool. The problem is that it adds a bit of flavor, possibly, or a bit of scent
nice.
to
Like
things.
a whiskey.
Yeah,
getting a bit of flavour from the wood.
But then everything tastes like whiskey on these shelves.
I'm cool with that.
Then, why not? And then everything is organized by alphabetical order. So if I want cumin, that's easy. It's on the third line, fourth row, for example. So that's not bad. The problem is that I don't need that many spices. I love learning about new things, and exactly as you did, I went through phases. When you do Indian food, you're dead basically it means your spice cabinet is just going to be filled up with stuff.
Which is, yeah, where I've
And
got mine
you're
from.
not going to discard them. Why would you discard spices? So that's the problem. What do I do with these? So now I've got a super organized system, which is taking a lot of my wall real estate in my studio, but I don't use it. So in fact, I'm thinking about just discarding it. Not discarding it, but just moving it to another place or just selling these cabinets and just thinking, well, this was a moment, let's just move to another moment.
But why not? I like that, because that's you accepting reality. That's you.
Yeah, but I'm going to do that.
Okay, well, in that case, then that's kind of...
What I'm going to do with the spices, that's the problem. Because the cabinet, I'm not attached to them. The spices, I just feel like it's stupid to sell, for example... Nobody's going to buy black cardamom from me.
It's funny you should say that. Black cardamom. I have a jar of black cardamom that I bought for making Indian food. I think there's maybe like 5 left now, and I started with 12 of them. But I've had that for like 6 years.
Is it still good, you think?
Yeah, some spices, weirdly, I feel like almost like the bigger they are and the more whole they are. Like I've got a tub full of whole nutmeg, and they still smell absolutely incredible. Same for the black cardamom, maybe not as good as they were originally. But like, for example, if you've got garam masala powder, you have that for more than a year, and it's like dust.
There is something very funny with nutmeg.
Why?
These beautiful whole nutmeg, they are built out of diamond, basically. Mm-hmm. And the fun thing is that I bought mine from an Indian store in Paris. And I bought a bag of probably, 12, 15, maybe 20 whole nutmeg in there. Uh-huh. And when I saw the bag, I thought, well, I'm going to die before this is over. I'm going to die before I used it all, because definitely it's impossible. How much can you use? How much can you use in cooking? If I don't give them away to people, I will never be. That's impossible. In a lifetime, impossible.
That's like, like when someone says you can win a lifetime supply of something. Like a competition.
Yeah.
You enter a competition and it's like, win a lifetime supply of nutmeg. And it arrives and it's just 4 nutmegs.
That's it.
Because it's like you get it out once a year at Christmas, like, to put on something to give it a bit of that Christmas spice.
Exactly. When you're out of the... nutmeg, I use them in bechamel sauce, for example. I use them if I make Indian food. But that's about it. How much... 1 dusting, 2 dusting, 3 dusting, that's the end of it. So this is doing nothing. This is just sitting in my studio, taking real estate, not bothering me too much. But the problem is that I'm lacking space for other things. Uh-huh. So the nutmeg is now on the fence. Is now just on the brim of being ejected.
Maybe what you need to do. Here's maybe what we should do then. We need to set up a collective, right, of cooks, and whoever it is that's going through the phase of cooking Indian food or maybe some sort of one of the Middle Eastern cuisines, something that's more heavily spiced. You could sort of do a thing of a cooperative of saying, right, this person is cooking Indian food. All you spare nutmegs, all you spare cinnamon sticks or whatever, send them to that person because they'll use them. And then when they're not using them, they can send them to somebody else.
That would be very cool. That would be amazing.
No, that would work.
Considering the current world pandemic situation.
That's very true.
I would tend to disinfect everything you would send me, which I would do anyway, even out of the pandemic.
Because it's come from my house and you know that it's crawling.
No, because it comes from koji, fermented kombucha,
that's very
sourdough,
true.
bacteria. So just in case, I would just disinfect them.
If you're going to get rid of your this is on another side. If you're going to get rid of your cedar-based drawers for the spices, send them my way because I'll start making koji in them because that's what they would use traditionally is cedar wood.
Is it the case?
It is, yeah. Right, Alex. I have in that case then, look, I need...
Maybe the last question for this
is the thing that I need to get from you, right?
Okay,
and I don't want to upset you by saying this, right?
Yeah, I'm already upset. Go on.
Because I know you put a lot of time and effort into reorganizing the studio, right? And into organizing things so that it will be perfect. And once you've done this last organization, You'll never need to do it again because you'll have the ultimate setup, and you've convinced yourself that this is it. This is the last time.
Yes, comedy of life. I like it.
Now, what I'm going to ask you is this: is it futile trying to organise the kitchen?
Life isn't. Go on.
That my question is: you reorganising the kitchen to think this is going to, this is going to work. Are you going to find after a couple of weeks,
never.
Actually, it hasn't worked the way I wanted it to?
I know this. I'm never going to find the perfect organization system for my studio.
And are you okay with that?
Perfectly fine with this. I like it. I think it's very fun as well. The fact that I'm looking for something that just doesn't exist. It's just such a beautiful metaphor with life in general and the way we handle things. But somehow I'm still making progress.
So would you say that in that case then it feels like your kitchen has to be a reflection of you and who you are right now? Like the way that you work, the things that you need, it has to be a reflection of
exactly.
your
Isn't it
space.
the same case for you, man?
I think so, yeah.
Your kitchen is a reflection of you as well.
Yeah, well, the frightening thing about that is if it's a reflection of me, that messy cupboard full of the spices, it means somewhere in my psyche, there's a few loose nutmegs rolling around on the inside of my head.
There's a little dark side to Josh somewhere. But don't we all
okay
have...
with that.
Yeah, exactly. Don't we all have a dark cabinet hidden somewhere that's full with spices?
I think so. One of my favourite phrases, that I think about this phrase a lot, and it keeps me sane sometimes, is to think, change is the only constant.
That's a beautiful... That will be the ending of this episode.
I'm happy with that. Happy with that.
Okay, man. It's been a pleasure to share this with you. And let's catch up in the next one then.
All right, man. I'll see you next time.
See you, man. Bye.
All right, bye-bye.